I remade my Animal Crossing New Horizons island on a Dinkum island, tile for tile. That's a crazy 10,752 tiles. Why? Mainly just to see just how big the Dinkum map is, because we often talk about it and never proved it. And plus, I thought it was cool. Then I got a little carried away. I built a town hall, the airport, sorry, no dodos, just me, the beaches, along with all the cliff faces. This was a mammoth effort with many mistakes made, and hopefully this will save you many. Let me show you how I did it and hope it blows your mind as much as it did mine. I used this website, which I'll leave in the description, which asks you to choose the whereabouts of your 2 river mouths, and chose a layout. Let me know if you find yours. So I picked my most recently created island for rags to riches, and I set to work. It's worth noting that each Animal Crossing square on the map is 16 tiles wide and 16 tiles tall, and each map is 6 squares high and 7 squares wide. As mentioned earlier, that's over 10,500 tiles, plus all the dirt printing to raise to the mountainous area. The first thing I did was I found a place on the map that was mostly land with water surrounding it, taking a wild guess that it would roughly fit the main land. Using the tape measure, I measured out a 16 by 16 area and leveled the space. I then used a bright green tiling for the edges of each map square to ensure I was keeping tabs on my progress. I did use dev commands for this island, so I employed the help of the scan map command, which updates the map progress without the need for a sleep. I built a column of map squares and then, for ID purposes, pixel arted a number 4 for the coordinates so I could see it on the map. This is the middle of the map, and I expanded from this column for the 3rd column and worked out from the middle. Next, I built out the town hall, which is 12 tiles wide and 10 tiles high, and committed to using the brick path to make it look Animal Crossing-y. As I built this out, I had to decide how tall to make the mountain levels, which I opted to go with 3 tiles high, gauging from the Animal Crossing character height to their head. I also committed myself to using the turf grass, since it would save me having to top up a whole bunch of grass seeds, and again used the scan map to see what it would look like on the map. For those familiar with Animal Crossing, you know that there's a slight little ramp at the edge of the grass leading onto the beach sand, so I used ramps to mimic this. And this is where I realized that due to the water level in Dinkum, the beach sand had to be 1 tile higher than the water level, and I had to raise the whole island by 1 tile. This also meant a whole bunch of converting of red dirt to beach sand, tile for tile. So I worked my way on the map, beach edge, and committed square by square. It also included getting creative with methods to join the grass to the sand, so I used the ramps and sometimes corner ramps for small 1 square edges, and in particular the south to east and west edge beaches. While on the beach, I ended up using cobblestone path and rocks to show up as dark rock areas on the maps. I used the rock wand to make walls of rock, but chiseled one side of the rock faces to make it a little less daunting. Working from the outer edges, I started to build out the river mouths and made these as deep as possible, as they're normally inaccessible in Animal Crossing. I worked out on connecting each 16 by 16 square, slowly propagating the water from one square to the next square. This in itself was fun. One thing I did do as part of this was to eat a couple of snags to increase my appetite moving forward, which allows me to use some of the food buffs for this project. This includes using the sparkling soup, which allowed me to use power tools without losing charge, a lot burger to increase my stamina, along with the caviar, which allowed me to move quickly in the water as I jackhammered or used the compactor. Building these out led me inland towards one of my next challenges, the waterfalls. I'd never really built waterfalls yet in Dinkum, so I wasn't sure how to make them. I learned slowly that I'd put the waterbeds one level lower than the top of the tier that I was building towards and got the water flow falling. But after I revealed this on the map, it showed up as red dirt, which isn't great. I then opted to using some pearl pathing under the waterbeds, which made it look like a river on the map. Win! So I continued that and used the same technique for the second tier of land. Note, it's worth mentioning that I had to raise the land by 6 tiles for each of the upper levels, which took me quite the while. I found myself finishing off the top of the map, including the rocky top edge of the map. I converted more of the red sand to beach sand to make the secret beach, which is normally where Red lives. I'd love to have used Jimmy boats as it's all smoky and stuff, but it spawns in random spots, so I just went with a sailboat. What Animal Crossing island is complete without Cap'n and his pier, along with a docked boat? I ended up unlocking all the towers to give more relative size of Animal Crossing versus Dinkum. Then I had the bright idea to work out how many tiles it is between the north and south towers and east and west towers. Man, so I summoned the energy to use the tape measure starting from one tower and marking a tile every 30 squares until I reached the other side. Interestingly, it's 610 tiles from south to north tower and confirmed it's a longer distance from north to south towers than it is between the east and west, which is 598. Fun fact. On screen is my calculation for this visualization. Then I had another rush of blood and wondered how far was it from each tower to the outer edge of the map. Geez, I like to make hard work for myself, don't I? After more time spent, I came to the realization I could have just used the debug command to show which tile I am in the world, and it was able to confirm that the Dinkum world is 998 squares wide and 998 squares tall. This then made me realize that the Dinkum world isn't symmetrical. The south tower is actually closer to the map edge than the north tower is. Go figure. Let me know if this is true on your Dinkum map. Having said that, the original plan for this was to show you just how much bigger the Dinkum Island is than Animal Crossing. In fact, you can fit over 90 Animal Crossing maps in just one Dinkum world. My job wasn't over yet. I wanted my grass to be a deeper green and not have so many bushes growing, so then I tiled over every single tile on the now completed map to convert it to the fir grass of the pine forest. This was even more time spent. If anything, please hit the like just for the sheer effort committed to this project. Working through this, I ended up inviting enough residents to allow myself to upgrade the town hall from tent to building, and then also added a bunch of pine trees for the second and third tiers of my mountains. The piece de resistance was to opt to planting a bunch of apple trees to mimic the native fruits of Animal Crossing, since there aren't any cherries in Dinkum. Oh wait, there are cherries in Dinkum. They come about in Christmas time. I'm not going to go and do that. Maybe that's for another stream. I honestly lost count of how many hours I spent on this little project, which turned out to be a bit of a mindfulness activity, particularly when I was stuck in hospital, being able to do nothing but rest. If you're still watching this video, leave the island name Stiletto in the comments along with any thoughts you might like to leave. For more Dinkum designed related videos, check this playlist on screen, and huge thanks to my members of AG Nation. You're all awesome.